fans, welcome in, welcome in. We are the two random guys talking about stuff. This is, I believe, episode 12. We had a little bit of issues the first 9, I think. But I think we've kind of got them figured out. So we just we hit this refresh button up here. We're going to talk about whatever these stories come up, and away they go. But before we get to that, we do have to talk about my Calgary Flames. Rough night last night.
Your club.
Well, yes, I say mine because who cares is not as big a fan of the Calgary Flames as I am.
That would be true.
No. Yes. So they were mathematically eliminated last night. There was only 2 scenarios in which they could have continued on. One of which that they had to win, and the other team had to lose. With us losing last night, and the other team, more importantly, winning, we're done. So we had to win both games, and Winnipeg could only win 2. Or we could lose both, but Winnipeg would have had to lose 3. Because Winnipeg beat, who were they playing last night? The Coyotes beat them 6-2.
Predators.
Or they played Predators? Is that who it was? Okay.
Yeah.
Either way.
Because they were the other wild card team.
Right.
They were on our heels, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that pushes them further back as well. So they're done as well. So it is what it is. Our team is mathematically finalized. And I think as who cares, you and I were chatting last night after the game, texting. I think our team was done a couple of weeks ago. This just kind of puts the nail in the final nail in the box.
They were on life support a couple of weeks ago, and finally pulled the plug.
Yeah. So, well, I think the conversation going forward now is what do you do to fix it? Again, the metrics that I always have assigned to these things is offense, defense, goaltending, and coaching. Right? Which one of those do you change? So last night we continued to increase the record. It's not a good record, by the way. Increase the record by losing the hockey game when we outshoot our opponents' shots on goal of 10 or more.
Oh, really?
Yes, we had something in the range. We doubled their shots, and we still lost.
I didn't look at the shot tallies.
Yeah, I was at the game last night. I did see that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Yep.
So, wait, you were talking about us. We played Nashville Predators. I was talking about Winnipeg. Winnipeg played the Arizona Coyotes. Winnipeg beat Arizona 6-2. We played the Nashville Predators last night.
We played Nashville. Yeah, we played Nashville. That was the problem. We played Nashville. It actually keeps them in the hunt, I think. Very, very close. Who did?
Yeah, I think they're 1 point behind us, but they're in the
Coyotes.
Arizona's out. They've been out for a long time.
Yeah, but it wasn't the Coyotes they played. I'd have to look it up real quick.
Not that important, but yeah. Either way, whoever Winnipeg played. Sorry, how long does it take Mercury to go around the sun?
Yeah, the long-term memory is good. It's the short-term memory that sucks. So.
Fair.
Yeah.
All right. Anything new and exciting happen with you this week? Do we have anything going on?
Nothing too much going on. Nothing too much. Usual stuff, a little bit of poker, a little bit of work.
Okay. I got
things.
I got some big poker game coming up this weekend. Try to stream a little bit of that, I think. We'll see how we do. I don't know. Going to be interesting. Let's start our day, shall we?
Yeah.
Okay, what do we got?
That, I just realized my ad space is wrong. So I'm listening. You go.
Okay,
and,
all right.
See if I can.
First article. This is from CNN. What do we know about the gunman who opened fire at a Louisville bank? Well, I'm not gonna lie. I just vaguely heard this. Right, a guy walks into obviously a bank in Louisville. Actually, I don't know anything about it. Now that I think about it, I don't know anything about this.
I only caught a couple of things about it. The governor of Kentucky.
Yeah, it's Kentucky. Yeah,
Yeah.
Louisville, Kentucky.
Apparently, he knew a couple of the people that were shot and killed. Someone else he knew is in hospital. I don't know whether they pulled through or not. So he was commenting about that. I caught something about that he might have worked at the bank
That this guy worked at the
at
bank?
some time. Yeah, I caught something about just one of those lines that I'm not sure if it was saying that he did work at the bank or whether they were questioning that he worked at the bank. And I don't know whether it was he worked at the bank yesterday, the day before kind of deal, or whether it was something that he worked at the bank a couple of years ago. I don't know, but
Still more than I know.
Yeah, really read too much about it, but I just saw it as like another, mass shooting, another happening. So
25.
just this time it was a bank, not a school.
Yeah. Still tragic, regardless. People that I understand being mad. I understand being upset. Let's just assume what you're saying is true. Being mad, being upset, but you want to be able to share your feelings, right, as it were, in a healthy, non-harmful way to other people and yourself. If you're mad and you're upset, go to the gym, right? Join a boxing club or something, right? Find some sort of outlet. To think that the very best outlet is to go into the bank and open up fire and whatnot is probably not the right thing, right? 25-year-old bank employee in Louisville, Kentucky knew he was going to be fired and wrote a note to loved ones before heading to his job on Monday morning and opening fire, killing 5 people and injuring 8 others. Right? So that can't be the right response when you're feeling upset. So we're advocating for mental health and better mental health in some sort of way, right?
I mean, like, what is it that you realize you're getting fired, and so you take weapon or 2 or 3 or whatever you took, and shot everybody? Like, that's your solution to the problem is you're getting fired, so let's just kill everybody.
Yeah, right. It's just
it's hard to fathom, hard to understand, and
apparently they were at a meeting, 8:30 meeting before the bank opens. I'm assuming the bank opens at 9. And this is not unusual. This is a very American thing to do. Someone was watching virtually because she obviously couldn't make it and witnessed her coworkers being slain.
Oh, really?
Shocked to see the violence, lost a massive. This guy had worked at the bank for more than a year. He live streamed his attack. On Instagram. Wow. No prior engagement with the police. Search warrant at the guy's house. 5 victims, all between ages 40 and 64. They list the names here. 8 others were injured, including a 26-year-old police officer who graduated from the police academy just 10 days ago. I just read the article just before we were coming on. That came up on this rotating feed, and I saw that. It was 10 days. He was shot in the head, taken to hospital where he underwent brain surgery. That's a rough welcome to the job. Right? I don't know. I mean, sidebar, in Canada, we're starting to get a little bit of pushback from our politicians about, apparently we've had 9 officer deaths in the last 6 months. Which is high. I understand that, but in the U.S. they have 10 times the population and 100 times the crime violence. There's actually social issues as to why that is, but I mean it's part of the job. Unfortunately, it is part of the job, and you need to, as a police officer, you need to prepare yourself for that. Right?
And the families,
Yeah. So, wrote that he worked for 3 consecutive summers. So while he was going to school, I assume. Shooting was live streamed on Instagram. Identified as. That's it. Didn't show any red flags. He graduated from University of Alabama in December 2020. And then participated in an accelerated master's program. Oh, and he has a master's degree in finance. Wow, this guy's highly unstable. How do you make it through a master's program being mentally unstable like that?
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, I'm kind of guessing just the idea of being fired
Yeah,
bothered him so much, that he's got all this education, he's got big plans. Maybe he's wanting to move up in the banking industry and, and facing being fired. Does it say why he was being fired?
I haven't got that far. He wrote in a letter
Okay.
here. My self-esteem has long been a problem for me. As a late bloomer in middle and high school, I struggled to a certain extent to fit in, and this has given me a somewhat negative self-image that persists today. Making friends has never been especially easy, so I have more experience than most in operating alone. Now this is something that he wrote, and because it's CNN that's reporting it, we don't know what's happening before that statement or after that statement, right? Because they're reporting on it, so this could be entirely taken out of context. But based just on the surface of that, I mean, this shooter identifies as a loner, right? So it doesn't really say why. It's tragic. I don't know.
Yeah, he's been struggling for a
while,
a number of years, and he's not fitting in at the bank, and he's just tired of it and doesn't want to live this life, and he decides he's going to literally go out with a bang. So
that's
unfortunate
terrible.
For him. Yeah, I know.
And then
unfortunate. It's unfortunate that was his solution.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously is aware of the problem, so he could have gone to seek professional help, maybe, and maybe he did, and we just don't know it.
Yeah, again, there just isn't enough background from that. You're absolutely right. He could have sought mental health.
Solution is, okay, so you're struggling with life, and you just see it being hopeless and all. Okay, so you take your own life. Why are you taking several other people's lives with you? So you never understand any of these, from the school shootings to the mall shootings to the bank shootings. I can't comprehend what's actually going through the shooter's mind leading up to these events. It's just out of my scope. I just simply cannot empathize because I haven't done that. I haven't thought about doing that. I'm not in that position. But so it's very hard for everyone else, I think, to struggle with and comprehend just how this sort of thing happens. But it's unfortunate.
Yep, it is. All right. We're good with that?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so as well. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just a little heads up. We have a new sponsor on there. We'll get to a little more highlights here, but we've got our ad space running 3 ads right now. 2 of which we've confirmed as sponsors, and 1 we're trying to still work on. But we want to give a little bit of love, and we'll give some more love at the end here. Let's move on. Yeah. Earth's core appears to be wrapped in an unexpected ancient structure. Commercial. All right. So coincidentally, because we never know if this is going to come up in topic, but we would expect it to, especially because we're looking at my feed, right?
Hockey not come up on your stream,
right?
on your feed, hockey.
Since the guy with the Calgary Flames hat right there, wearing the jersey, even though there's no hockey game. I wear my jersey on this podcast specifically. As soon as this podcast is over, I'll take the jersey off.
You're in mourning.
Yes. Calgary Flames have missed the playoffs, and there needs to be major consequences. Well, just as we talked just at the top of the show there, who cares? I think it's you got to change one of those 4 things. Which one are you going to change? Goaltending, coach, offense, defense. What do you think about this? Because you know what I already said what I think about this.
Yeah. Read an article as they're leading up to yesterday's game. And the article is basically inferring that Mr. Sutter has to go, that the players just aren't buying into Mr. Sutter's structure, into his game plans. they weren't sure about Treveling, Mr. Treveling, GM.
Yeah, Brad Treveling.
Treveling, whether he would stay or not.
Well, his contract's up, so they don't think he's going to be signed again.
Oh, okay.
Because we have the highest contract ever signed with Huberdeau, and the payoff with Huberdeau it hasn't been what is expected right from last year. So,
but again, going back a couple of weeks, I catch an article where Huberdeau finally gets moved to the left wing where he's supposed to be playing. Where last year, playing for his other team, he scored 115 points. And I'm kind of reading that. I'm like, what did you do with him? Put him on defense or something? You know, I know.
No, he plays in the offside.
But yeah, so I mean, like, was, you know, it kind of like, what the hell? You know, you got this guy. If he's producing on the left wing, why isn't he on the left wing? But
well,
again, I said this before, Mr. Sutter, he's miles and miles and miles of experience way past myself, you know. Far be it for me to comment, criticize, question what he's doing. But
well, that's what this whole podcast is about, though.
Well, it is, but I don't have that
the expertise to intelligently speak on the topic. But we still do that.
Well, sure. And that's what I'm doing. But as a layperson, I read that article and I'm like, that makes no sense at all. He's a left winger. He's been scoring all these points for the team on the left wing, but you decide to move him to the right wing, you know, and it's like, that seems counterproductive, you know, so at first glance, you know, so, and it may be that Mr. Sutter is the game has changed past him now. You know, there was a time where, you know, his strategies, his game plan was relevant, but maybe these days his game plan is out the window. You know, and so.
Let me ask you. Go back there for a second. You said he was on he played on the right side, and then he.
I don't know whichever side it is. I don't know which wing he is. I read the article that he's finally being moved back, and I thought it was to the left wing, where he was all productive. You're saying he was playing on the opposite wing, which means he would have been playing the season for the Flames on the right wing. Now, maybe I've got it backwards.
Okay. Either way, it's because, well, again, we're inferring some of this, but as a young child, I actually went to a Catholic school, and it turns out I was left-handed and wrote with the left hand, right? But in the Catholic Church, you can't. They deem that to be the sign of the devil. So I got hit with a ruler all the time to not write with my left hand, had to write with my right hand. Right? Okay, so why is that important? Because somewhere in the range of population, 62.8 points, I did have it here. Only 10% of the population of the planet is left-handed.
Yeah.
Right. So if people in the NHL are still part of that, so if on the team there are 50 players and there's only 25 players that are on the team, that means one of those 25 people, one of those active 25 players on the roster are left-handed. And if that left-handed person happens to be a defenseman, now every forward that you have or centerman is a right-handed shooter.
Yeah.
Or I think it's actually left-handed because, and this is why I say I'm not really sure how that is. I hold the top of the stick with my right hand, and the left hand is down on the body of the stick. I think that's a left-handed shot.
Right.
I actually shoot the other way. Right.
Correct. Yeah.
So, like I catch with my left hand is at the top of the stick, and my right hand is in there, and I shoot that way. I catch with the left hand, I throw with the right, but I write with my right hand. Like I identify as a righty, but my brain still operates as a lefty because I can do things both left and right-handed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in terms of this, I mean, I don't know to what you're saying. I don't know which side Huberdeau played on in Florida, but when he came to Calgary, he played on the other side. probably because
Right.
whoever was on the right hand wing where Huberdeau used to play, stats wise, was better than Huberdeau, so you keep him on that side, right? But you just kind of shake it up, right? This is what
I can
teams,
understand where
coaches
you're
do,
you're coming from. You got four lines, which
Yeah.
means you have four right wingers and four left wingers. But because of your team, you actually have 6 or 7 wingers that are all shoot right, and
or
only
7
two
or 8.
that shoot left. Yeah, it could be 7 or 8, and so you end up having to put a right-handed shooter on the opposite wing. So I understand where you're coming from, but he was, and I don't know. Like, all I know is he's coming from. You said Florida. He come from
Yeah, he
Florida.
came from Florida. Yeah, him
Came
and
from Florida.
Uyghur.
In the trade with Kachuk. And he scores 115 points on his wing. I don't know. I guess he just thought, yeah, he can still score 115 points on the other wing. So, and again,
This is the experience that you're talking about with Sutter having more than us. I mean,
yeah, so I mean, whether it would have made a difference in the season or not, that's one player who might have added, let's be optimistic, 40 more points to his stats. Is that really going to change some games? Well, maybe some of those one-game losses become wins. So maybe it would have.
I mean,
It's all too late
speculation
now.
for sure.
Yeah. So
this article, with the 3-2 shootout loss to the Predators, the Flames clinched what many fans had seen coming for weeks: playoff elimination, which is exactly what I said, right? I think the Flames were done actually a couple of weeks ago, just like this article said. It's just life support. Flames can no longer catch, which is true. Only thing keeping him, blah, blah, blah. This year's Flames followed a pattern similar to their 2021 campaign, which saw them blow every single opportunity. Wow, who is this? This is Gold, right? Mike Gold. I don't know who that is, but he writes for the Flames Nation, so he's in support of the Flames. Blown every opportunity. One shootout goal away. This Richie missed. Yeah, this is talking about the game last night. Very strange. So Erin, who's my hockey wife, we go to the game last night, and we were both shocked that on Saturday's game, Huberdeau is taking the shootout. Huberdeau is, of those 115 points you're saying, 90 of them are coming from passing. He passes the puck. Right?
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. So he scored, he had the exact same number of points that Johnny Gaudreau had.
Right.
But Gaudreau scores more goals, and Huberdeau gets a shit ton more assists.
Okay.
Right?
Well, maybe that's why he moved him over to the opposite wing as well, is that he's passing. Okay.
So when you see Huberdeau, who's not the greatest shooter, take the shootout the other night on Saturday, I'm like, what? Aaron and I are texting each other, right? Like, what is this?
Because there was a shootout both Saturday night and last night.
Huberdeau took the first shootout last night. He was the first shooter again. Aaron, of course, went to the bathroom right at the time. Like that's the worst timing ever. But anyway, separate. So she missed that. But Huberdeau scores. That's huge. I'm like,
oh, does he? I didn't see. Yeah. I saw the first into the second period. I was playing poker last night. Of course. And then I went to the club to do some work, and was texting with someone who was watching the game, and it was tied all the way through. The Flames tied it up. It was 1-1 when I left.
Late, yeah.
And then he was like, it's only 30 seconds left in overtime, because he wanted to miss traffic was really what was up.
Wah, wah, wah. You don't want to,
He never did. Yeah, he never did. And then it was going to shootout, and something about we lost in shootout. So
we did lose a shootout.
I didn't get to see any of it.
Last shot, as it turns out. Is that right? No, it was in the fourth round that we lost it. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, we lost the shootout. That's the end result, though.
They were on their 12th shooting, like 12 shots.
No,
Isn't it 3 per rounder? Is that what you meant, or?
Well, we shoot, they shoot. That's round one. So you have
Okay.
minimum 3 rounds. No matter what
Right,
happens, you
yeah.
should have 3 rounds, and then it goes
Yeah.
shot for shot, and you keep going till
Okay.
till you lose.
Okay, so the fourth shooter and tied
Yeah.
after 3 shooters, and they scored on the fourth shot, and we didn't score on
And
the fourth shot.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
For the second time in 3 seasons under Sutter, the Flames are done early. Sutter has won a grand total of 1 playoff series in the last 6 years as a head coach. What a dick. Who is this guy? It's been a miserable season for Calgary. Prize acquisitions, Huberdeau and Kadri have greatly underperformed. Yes, so there's lots of talk about that. So back
Yeah.
the offense, defense, goaltending, and coaching. I mean, there's lots of armchair coaches going on right now. Get rid of Sutter.
Mhm.
I don't think we're doing that. Right. I do think we're getting Vladar is going to be gone this year. His contract is up. Calgary cannot afford both of those contracts at the same time. Seeing how
This is the goalie.
this is the goalie. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
you've talked about this before. Okay.
Yeah, the 4 things. Goaltending is the easy one. We're not getting rid of Markstrom. We just signed him. We can't get really good value for him at this point, the way that he performed this year.
But-
And then Wolf is the goaltender for the Calgary Wranglers. He's entry level. We'll get him for cheap. He'll be the backup goalie for Calgary next year. So that means
But,
Vladar has to go.
All right, so we're already writing off next season too. Then.
Again, you work with what you have here, right?
So we're writing off next season as well. Then.
I love your optimism. I love it.
Yeah.
So last night, again, now we're at 29 or 30 games that we've lost when we've outshot them by 10 shots on goal or more. It's difficult to say that our offense isn't doing it, right? Our offense is performing, and we have 30 losses showing we've outplayed our opponent 30 times, right? So what do you change
Okay,
from
but
the offense?
our offense is great at getting shots on net. They're not great at putting shots in the net.
Yeah,
Why
but
aren't they putting shots in the net?
we also have the highest amount of goalposts in the NHL, right? So what are you saying? Their accuracy is wrong. Their accuracy is 1 centimeter left or 1
To be
centimeter
honest,
right.
I'd rather them hitting the post than hitting the logo on the goaltender. I see that.
Well, that
the
happens all the
games that I
time. But,
watch now,
I mean, these are
Yeah.
professional athletes. We're not going to criticize too much. I mean, they've made it there.
Right,
They're the
but
top 1%,
I'd ra-
1%. But
I would rather them trying to put it in a top corner and hitting a goalpost or a crossbar.
you know,
They're just firing it at the center of the net and hitting the goalie on the logo. All
yeah,
right?
but you don't know that. They're hitting it, and
Well, you
the guy in front
you see
tips
a lot
it,
of shots.
and
Well,
it tips
yeah,
into
but you
it
see
tips
a lot of
into the
shots.
logo.
That could happen for sure,
Mhm.
but you just see a lot of shots where it comes right at him and he just stops it and grabs it and it's right in front of him and it's like great shot, but so I'd
Well, for-
rather them hit the post is all I'm saying.
For me, I'd like to see the stat on tip shots that go into the goal versus straight in shots that go in the goal, right?
Mhm.
So the naysayers around the league that say exactly what you're saying. Let's see, you don't want to see that happening. Well, maybe that is it. Just put the goal, the shot on net. If most goals come from tip-ins, that's all they're looking to do is tip it out of the air and redirect, and maybe it gets tipped
Right.
into, and all those sort of things, right? I don't
Well,
think
and
there's
and
too many
it's-
straight shots that go in. I think it's more likely most of them are tipped in because the goaltender can see the shot
The
coming.
goalies are too good. Yeah, the goalies
Yeah.
are too
Yeah,
good.
they're too good.
It's
for sure.
the pass across
Yeah, it gets them going one
goal
way.
crease, as it were,
Mhm.
and he can't get over to it, or certainly shots from the blue line that get tipped. The goalie's moving into it. He's got it stopped, but he gets tipped, and then it goes
Yeah.
right by him this way. Nothing a goaltender can do about it. But lost the other thought I had. I just like say more. I just rather see them hit the crossbar. I'd rather see them trying to go for that top corner type of deal, that kind of a shot and hit a crossbar than hit the goalie on the logo. But the question still stands: is great. You're getting all these shots on net. Why aren't they going in the net? If you're taking shots from the blue line with the intent of them being tipped, why, are they being tipped? Are they getting tipped enough? The other thing is, if
we don't
they're
know.
getting through to the goaltender, part of the old school thinking was you're looking for rebounds, and you're going to try and shovel the puck in off of the rebound when it hits the goaltender on the logo, but it drops down in front of you, So again, are we not getting that job done? I'm not the right person to evaluate this. I'm not involved, and I don't have the statistics or anything in front of me. But something is clearly wrong. We're great at taking shots.
I think you're right. Clearly something is wrong, and clearly something has to change. We're just trying to zero in on what we think that is. And we'll just kind of go through, right? The rest of this article, he says, this guy's absolutely adamant that, even after I just said that, prize acquisitions, Huberdeau and Kadri haven't performed. It's almost as though Sutter, blah, blah, blah. This guy, what has to change? Sutter. There must be consequences for how this season's played out. The very first one should be Sutter's dismissal as head coach. That's that's pretty definitive terms what this guy thinks of that. I don't see that happening.
You don't think they'll get rid of him?
No. Two things have to happen there. First off is you have to get rid of Trevelling, right? Who's the GM. So because his contract's up, and the dismal piece. So whatever GM comes in, he has to think that that the coach has to go.
Yeah.
Right. And if that's true, that's fine. But usually, unless they have a GM already in place to take over for him, we've often seen the GM role being taken over by the coach, because Sutter also did both of those roles several years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And
so now, if he's the GM, he's not going to fire himself until he has a better coach. Right. So. I think first off, if you're going to get rid of the coach, you got to get rid of Trevelling first and get another coach, another GM in there that thinks Sutter should be gone. I don't know if that's going to happen. Anyway.
Do you think Trevelling is willing to get rid of Sutter?
No, he signed him. Last year, Trevelling signed Sutter to a 3-year, $5 million contract, or whatever it was. Right? Why would he get rid of the coach that he just signed?
Okay.
Right.
Makes sense. I can see what you're saying. Yeah.
So in order to get rid of those guys, and because Trevelling's contract is up this year, that means the Flame organizers have to find another GM, hire that GM, get them in there, get that GM on board with what they want, which is to fire Sutter. Yeah. And we just signed Sutter, as I said, I think it's a 5-year contract for 3 years. So, or maybe it's.
I thought it was just a 2-year extension.
Maybe it was just the 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's got one more year, which you write off and pay him and bring in another coach, and that happens all the time as well. So I thought it was you that said he got a 2-year extension, and this was the first year of his 2 years, that he had one more year on his contract. He certainly just got re-signed, but.
The Sutter agreed to a 2-year contract as coach of the Flames on Saturday. When was this article? It doesn't say. The contract will start in the 23-24 season and run through the 24-25 season. Yeah, so we signed him last year to a 2-year extension on top of that. So last year, it was for 3 years total. We have Sutter for 2 more years after tomorrow's game.
Right? Okay, so...
So we're not getting rid of him, I don't think.
He thought he was doing a good job, and
some people that are more knowledgeable on this than when we were on our way home, we ran into one of the people that we play poker with, who I will see this weekend. He's well versed in this stuff, much more than you and I. And even though I'm a huge fan, he's like, we should get rid of Mangiapane. Like, really? Why? Well, because Mangiapane's didn't perform as well as he did last year as well, for the same reason. He has huge value, and we can get a fair amount of money for his contract. So, okay, if you get rid of people, then who do you bring in?
Yeah.
Right. And other people were saying, well, we should tank. There's only one game left, right, in the season. We should play to lose that. You hear that lots, that players go to tank to get better draw. No coach is going to say that to their team. These are professional athletes. That's just not what they do.
Have you heard of the Dallas Mavericks?
Who?
There's a big scandal going on in the NBA right now for this very reason. I'm pretty sure it's the Dallas Mavericks tanked the last couple of games, sitting their prime players for the game. All because, as I found out last night, there is a young lad in France. I don't know if he literally is, but he's like 7'2" or something. And he's like the next LeBron James kind of, right? And much like most leagues, the team in the bottom gets that number one draft pick. And so they needed to lose some games and to have a chance at getting this young lad. And so all the key players got sat apparently in a game, and now the NBA is investigating why and what happened in lieu of this intentional, deliberate act.
We're finding that out. That's what investigation is, to find out whether it was deliberate or not.
Right, and I don't know what kind of conclusion, how they'll get to that conclusion. The irony is that even with bench players, they only lost by 2 points. So it's not like, they actually came close to winning the game anyways. So.
All right, this article says the NBA has launched an investigation to the Mavericks' actions that resulted in several key players either missing Friday's loss to the Bulls or playing sparingly while the club was still eligible to make the play-in tournament. Now, I don't know what a play-in tournament is, but I know that in the NHL, some of the coaches have sat their team, their key is not the right term, but let's call them key for lack of a better word, players, because they had some sort of pissing contest the night before. They didn't show up to morning practice, that mandatory morning practice that day, right? These are what an investigation would find out. They would ask the coach, why did you choose to sit these guys on this game or these games, whatever the case may be? Well, he said he had a minor sprain injury. Here's the doctor that wrote up the thing. Right, whatever it is, right? All those sort of things.
At best, it's just a weird coincidence then that all their key players, and I don't know the extent. It's just I've seen headlines, and then we're talking a bit about it at the poker game last night. A couple of players are avid basketball people, not hockey people, but they're basketball people. And
they're not real people.
They were talking about it. They're not real people. They were talking about it a little bit, and I was a little bit aware of the situation and all. Right.
So if you and I are hockey peoples, and we know just a little bit about hockey, we know even less about basketball. Is that fair?
Yeah. So there are teams that
we'll watch it. We'll see
this, but the Flames aren't close enough to the cellar, as it were. Losing tomorrow's game or the next game won't give them a shot at getting Bedard.
We get two extra. I don't even know what it is. What we get, because there's only one game left. Let's assume that we just put out one goaltender. Sorry, we're not even going to put out a goaltender. We're just going to put out. I don't pick one. We're going to put out Kadri versus the five of them without a goaltender, because we want to make sure that we lose the game, right? Mm-hmm. Exactly as you're saying, it's with one game left. It doesn't move us down far enough in the ranks to make any sort of difference there. So, DeBear fan, welcome in, young sir. Welcome in. We're hopefully the sound is good. We got it kind of figured out. Thank you for your help again. We're just over halfway through our show. We'll be done. We'll go for another 20 minutes or so here. Maybe just one or two more articles, and we'll wrap it up for the day. Shall we move on there? Who cares?
Yeah, I think we've butchered this enough.
Holmes purchased a one-way flight to Mexico was a bold move. Judge says in a ruling that. I don't know. I think she's being. Sound check pass. Yeah, yes, that's good. We like to hear that. I believe that she like some sort of fraud, business fraud.
Oh, okay.
I think that's
Yeah.
what this is.
Yeah, this one I don't know anything about.
No, but this is our article. This is on you. You go.
The leading causes of Russia's non-combat military casualties. The leading cause of Russia's non-combat military. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, oh, that's. I never really thought it. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
They-
Can't say I've heard of
maybe they
too
got.
many people behind the lines.
Maybe they had COVID, right? That would be non-combat.
Dysentery, more like probably like I can see it's your supply chain people who are non-combat,
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
right? And they're what, getting dysentery and
yeah. I mean, it's
you know.
things of that. But I'm like, what?
Yeah,
Your
yeah.
leadership would be in there that are well
Yeah.
back. I mean, what are they? They got a.
Yeah, but I don't know. But the generals and the colonel they're combat military, or they're maybe just not on the front line shooting the rounds.
They're
but
still in the military,
I'm
and they're
thinking,
non-combat.
yeah, but I'm thinking more of like I say, the supply chain people.
Yeah.
They'd be non-combat. They're part of the military, non-combat.
Yeah, I don't know how
And then
they
I'm
just
just kind of
decided.
throwing it out there that dysentery, but haven't heard anything about this. Not something that kind of come across the radar.
No. This is the Daily Digest. So again, I'm not going to put too much stock into the accuracy or the validity to this. It's not what I would deem as when I'm looking for news sources and reputable news articles. This is not the first one that comes to my mind. So take it all with a grain of salt.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Let's see what they say here. Not all so this is one of those 18 photos you flip through and it's got like a one paragraph and talks about whatever. So again, not even a real article, as it were.
Oh, okay.
Excuse me. Russia has suffered nearly 200,000 casualties since ordered the invasion, but not all of those deaths and injuries are a result of fighting on the front line. A significant minority of these have been due to non-combat issues. There have been extremely high number of incidents of deaths that could be traced back to the level of alcohol Russia's deployed troops were consuming. So booze,
Okay.
right? So they trip and hit their head.
Yeah, I don't know, but I try to give them a little more credit when I said dysentery. Okay, not sanitary,
Yeah.
but at least But no, it has to do with vodka. Okay.
This wouldn't be
Keep
the first. This wouldn't be the first time alcohol use was reported as a major problem for Russian commanders, turning alcohol consumption to cope with the reality of war. I think a lot of people do this, right? A lot of soldiers on both sides. Vietnam, they used drugs. I think the American troops were using heroin and opioids of some sort. Anyway, just continuing.
Well, I mean, war is we're sitting here in chairs in front of a camera, and war is a horrendous thing. I mean, you do see movies, and they'll say that this movie is actually really good at depicting what a war scene is like.
Fairly accurate, yeah.
And you're like, how gruesome it is, but it's a movie. We get to see a couple scenes of it and move on. If you're a soldier, you're dealing with it 24/7. You might need some kind of coping mechanism to deal with all of that all of the time. So I mean,
I read something yesterday that was kind of on this. So a Ukrainian boy was out tending his sheep or his cows or whatever it was, and he came across the blown up body of a Russian soldier. He just turned around and went to home, and they called up whoever they called up, and the guys showed up, and they turned to the boy and said, "Were you scared when you saw the dead body?" He says, "No. Why? What's he going to do?" So that's like this 10-year-old boy was fairly blasé about it. But the one guy says in the article that I was reading that the soldier had seen 60 straight days of combat.
Yeah, that soldier. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine like going to work for 60 days straight?
And it's not an 8-hour shift.
That would be the next thing, right? At a
Yeah.
24-hour, you're always going. You have to have that high strung. So this is kind of what we're talking about. Right? So you got to use whatever coping mechanism you can, I guess. All right. Against the background of successful counteroffense, there's an increase in panic and a significant decrease in the level of morale and psychological state among the personnel on the occupying forces. Holy shit, that's a mouthful. Mass abuse of alcohol beverages is observed among the occupiers, due to which cases of armed conflicts between representatives of different units have become more frequent. So now, even within their army, they're having more pissing contests.
Yeah.
Deputy Defense Minister added that Russia was trying to get the situation under control by banning the sale of alcohol in the occupied territories. Though little follow-up was added, and it should be noted that the information could not be independently verified at the time. That's not shocking or whatnot.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not the comments are accurate or a piece of political propaganda, it does seem that the UK defense believes there is enough evidence to show alcohol-related casualties have become a significant issue for Russia. Well, again, that's coming from, just as I said, that's coming from one side, so it could be propaganda on the Ukrainian side for the Russian side, right?
Yeah.
Russian commanders likely identify pervasive alcohol abuse as particularly detrimental to effective combat effectiveness. Well, we've heard that before, even when there wasn't a war, that alcoholism in Russia was a fairly significant problem, right? Then it is exacerbated by the war.
All right. Okay.
And so, I mean, I can certainly see it. It sounds reasonable that this is somewhat true. Now, to the lengths that they're going, I don't know, but it sounds reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the very next article. However, with heavy drinking pervasive across much of Russian society, which is exactly what I just said, it has long been seen as a tacitly accepted part of military life, even on combat operations. Yeah. The war has exacerbated the problem.
Right.
Other leading causes of non-combat casualties include the poor handling of weapons, friendly fire. You're cleaning your weapon and you shoot yourself in the foot so that you don't have to go back out. I mean, we've heard that even on U.S. side. Road traffic accidents. Yeah, I can see that as well. Climate-related injuries, frost.
You were crossing the road and you didn't see the tank?
Well, it's not usually that, right? It would be like a Jeep or something, because it's just a car accident, so you don't have to go out to work.
I understand. I was just
being silly. Crime-related injuries, which was like frostbite, and that's what I said, which would include things like hypothermia, which would come from frostbite. Russia doesn't provide official numbers. There have been a number of public stories underlying the analysis. And in January, Newsweek, which is a reputable source of news, I guess, depending on how you look at it, explosion in this town that killed 3 soldiers and injured 15 more due to the mishandling of ammunition. So that would be non-combat, right? Someone's carrying a box of grenades and someone bumps him accidentally and he drops it and one pin catches on the next pin, and that's the end of that, as it were. Several credible reports of Russian soldiers freezing to death in eastern Ukraine when winter conditions all along the front lines are at their worst. Yeah. It's winter across the planet, right?
Right, but yeah.
Undertrained, undersupplied, and ambivalently led Russian in Ukraine, freezing to death by the dozen. So, that's a bad picture. Shocking video circulated online. Russia in the late stages of hypothermia, so cold and sick they barely react when the drones drop lethal improvised bombs on them. Yeah. And this is more of the same. Annual conscription. Russia will be raising 147,000 new troops this round. That's problematic. I don't know. I mean, it happens, right? In every army, these sort of things happen.
Yeah, right. You're not talking about some certain something specific to do with the Russian army, as you say. That I'm sure during World War II, when the battle, Germany and had tried to invade Russia, they were fighting over the winters there as well. I'm sure they had the same kind of issues to deal with, the frostbite, the temperatures.
Well, it sounds
And
that's a major
yeah.
downfall of the German army, is that they weren't prepared for winter.
Right,
So,
it was, yeah.
right.
Hmm. They thought that the war would be over before the winter, and
Yeah, they thought 2
and
months max.
yeah. So I mean, uh,
Oh, those Russians.
mm, but it's always unfortunate that people are losing their lives under these circumstances. So
Again, loss of life is loss of life, and
exactly, yeah.
we're not being blasé about it, but yeah, you can't be dying because you're freezing to death. Get them some jackets. Like
Mm-hmm.
maybe
Yeah.
they put in an order from one of the suppliers of Canada's winter clothing and get them some warm clothes. I don't know. Let's do avoid one more quick one, but only 4 minutes long. Avoid using public phone charging stations, the FBI warns. Okay. Jury holds key to fate of a 1 billion transmission project. And this is our third one. Illustrated Anne Frank book removed by Florida school. Is that going to be too heavy for 4 minutes?
Well,
I hadn't heard this, by the way, but this is just more
no,
banned books type thing. I don't know what this is
right.
about. For those that don't know, Anne Frank was a 13 or 14-year-old Jewish girl that was hiding in the Netherlands and was ratted out more or less. At the final weeks of World War II, she was sent to Auschwitz, Birkenau. I'm not really sure which one, but either way, she died in a concentration camp about 2 or 3 weeks before Germany surrendered. She wrote and she has a diary that she wrote as a child, which I have read. I read it when I was in grade 9, I think. I reread it
Okay.
again when I was much older. I was a young man, and I only reread it because the story that came out is that when I was a young boy, I was reading a heavily redacted diary of
Oh, okay.
hers. Right? She actually talks a lot about going through puberty and her feelings for boys, not being able to see boys and whatnot. And the publisher redacted all of those sort of things out. Her father, her
Oh,
parents,
interesting. Okay.
or whoever didn't want to share that sort of information. So I had to reread it to find out the unredacted portion of it. So it's interesting. And the fact that this is a graphic novel, right? I think that's the key here. The illustrated Anne book, removed by,
Yeah.
right? Is that fairly close to what you know about her? And
I really don't know a lot about Anne Frank. I'm familiar with the name.
okay,
So you're telling me more about her than I was actually aware. That maybe I was under the impression, I wasn't realized that what was the
I knew something about Anne Frank.
yeah. Um, I didn't realize she was a teenager,
Yes.
and I thought she was involved in getting Jews out.
No.
But maybe I have her mixed with somebody else. But
So you can
again,
go.
familiar with the name, but
Yeah.
I don't know the story. So
If you can go if you're in Netherlands, I think she was in Holland. So Holland is like a province, right? People think it's a country, but Holland is a province or a state. The same way we'd say, "Hey, let's go to America." No, we don't want to go to America. We want to go to Florida. It's kind of like that, right? It's America.
Okay.
Like Florida is in America. Right? This is the same sort of thing. So people confuse these two things all the time. But if you go to the Netherlands, and I do believe it's Holland, where Amsterdam is, you can actually go see where her and her family lived. So it's her mother, her father, her, and her siblings. I think she has 2 siblings, might be 3, but there's 5 or 6 of them that basically live in the attic for a couple of years. Um, yeah, it's pretty gruesome, but you can go. But it's a touristy thing. You just and the stairs are, I don't know, as wide as the keyboard is, maybe less than how wide the keyboard is. It's pretty jammed. It's pretty tight. It's pretty packed. But you'd wait for
Yeah.
hours to get in there, and you're up there for 2 minutes. It's like going to see the
Uh-huh.
Mona Lisa in the Louvre, right? You think it's just
Yeah.
that great, but there's hundreds of people there, and you're 40 feet away looking at this painting that's behind thick covered glass. And if you try to take a picture, the picture doesn't work because of reflection, blah, 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 the rest of it. So it's pretty rough. Anyway, this one here.
Okay.
High school.
Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
So what brought her notoriety? Why is she? I mean, she sounds the way you describe it. She sounds just like another teenager who was hiding from an occupied territory,
Yeah.
who got discovered, and then taken to a prison camp where she died.
Yes.
Well, didn't that happen to?
It happened to lots, but this is her
Yeah, it
diary. It's the diary of Anne Frank.
So her diary is what's. She kept a diary of her daily life living in hiding,
Yes.
and people have jumped on the diary. Okay.
Yeah, and again, this book has been out for decades, right? This is not
Right,
anything
yeah.
new. This article
Yeah.
specifically is because of the illustrative nature of it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
The school on the Atlantic coast was removed a graphic novel based on the diary of Anne Frank after a leader of a conservative advocacy group challenged it, claiming it minimized the Holocaust. I don't know how it does that, but I mean, I'm not sure
Yep.
what this article is, but I'm not sure her diary actually does minimizes it at all. She's Jewish. How is she minimizing it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anne
Yep. I can't jump on that bandwagon that fast. So
Yeah, exactly.
okay.
Anne Frank, the title of the book is Anne Frank's Diary. The graphic adaptation was removed from the library at some beach after a leader for Moms for Liberty raised an objection. The school principal agreed with the objection. The book was removed last month. The book at one point shows the protagonist walking in a park, enchanted by female nude statues, and later proposing to a friend that they show each other their breasts. Under the school district's policy, the principal made the decisions on a challenge book. If someone disagrees with the decision to keep the disputed book on the shelves, it can be appealed to. Right, so they're just going through the process. The novel had been checked out twice before it was removed. The Beaches, other books about Anne, copies of the book she wrote, chronicling other books about Anne Frank, and copies of the published diary she wrote, chronicling her time hiding from the Nazis with her family and other Jews in German-occupied Amsterdam, remain on the school's system's libraries. The Jewish teenager's diary was published in 1947, several years after she died in a concentration camp, and became a classic read by tens of millions of people around the world. I just happen to be one of those tens of millions, by the way.
I wasn't.
By law, Florida school was required to teach about the Holocaust, and nothing has changed in that respect. Well, again, it's been decades since I read this book, right? I don't recall in either time I read it. One would have been 40 years ago. One would have been like 20 years ago. More probably, yeah, 40 years ago, 20 years ago. I don't recall her writing about walking on the park. Jews don't typically walk around out in public and then go into hiding just at nighttime. They hide all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, you'd be hiding.
right? So when she's walking around the park and she's wanting to, at one point the book shows a protagonist walking the park, enchanted by female nude statues, and later proposing to a friend that they show each other their breasts. That seems to be fairly liberal adaptation of her diary. I don't recall that occurring. But as I said, the first time I read it, when I was a young boy, again, I think I was 12 or 13 years old, that was not in there. That would have been the redacted piece. And then I read it a decade later when I was, my 20s, late 20s, early 30s. That could have been in there, but I don't think that leads a lot to the story, right? She's a young girl going through puberty just like everyone else, and she wasn't sure how to deal with and yada, yada, yada. I don't know how women deal with that nowadays, let alone how they did it during wartime. So, yeah.
Right. Well,
that's it. I don't know. I just
something about the book
yeah.
bothered someone, and they brought it up, and the school principal said, "I agree," and removed the book. So I mean,
I think a better thing to do is no matter what the book is, if it's on the banned reading list, that's all the more reason for people to go out and read it. Why is someone
Well-
so offended at whatever book it is that they think you shouldn't read it? Then I want to read it and
Mhm.
find out why they're so upset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
What else is on there? I think like Fahrenheit 481. Is that right? Or 451 by
Mm.
Ray Bradbury.
Mm.
It's are you familiar with that?
no.
We will get to that in 1 second. It's about firemen, and it turns out firemen burn the books, so the government bans books, and the firemen go and collect all the books, and then have book burnings like in Nazi Germany, right?
Oh, okay.
Right, and that's the thing, and so the firefighter begins to challenge whether it's right or not, and he kind of leaves the firefighting force and comes to the other side and says, well, how do you guys have books? Well, each person is responsible for memorizing one book and then orally sharing that book with the group, right?
Oh, okay.
And that's the premise of the book right there, right? But that's banned again because you're fighting against the man, as it were.
Yeah.
Holden Caulfield, Catcher in the Rye. That's it. Is Catcher in the Rye is also on the bad substance list. I read the book and I couldn't figure out what the problem is. Like, well, why is this on the bad substance or bad list? It's because he's fighting against the authority. He stands up to the authority. No, I'm not doing that. Anyway, it's all the more reason. I don't see what the issue is with this. Obviously, this article doesn't share too much about it, and I think the very best thing is to go read what those articles are.
Yeah.
Any thoughts? Finishing it up, wrapping it.
On the stream or on the article?
Both. We're gonna do both
okay.
because it is that time.
Yeah, it's just another book. Somebody's jumped on a bandwagon and
They didn't like one piece of it, and so they just banned the
they
whole
don't like
thing rather than
something. Yeah,
looking at
so,
the book as a whole, its message. So
You talked about new sponsors.
yeah, we got our ad has been running on the whole time we're on here. We got Yuck Yucks up here, which they've been sponsors since day one.
Right.
And Who Cares is going to share a little bit about that. This is right there on the screen right now. That's our newest sponsor, the Weenie Wagon. It's a hot dog cart here in the local area. They've offered to support us in a couple different ways. We're still working out the exact details of what that is, but either way, we want to give them some love today, and we'll continue to do so in the near future. And then this is one of the ones that Who Cares put together for us. So thank you for this. We're trying to get some additional sponsorship, specifically from Pabst Blue Ribbon beer. And here's the commercial right here.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a big fan of it. I like drinking the beer. I drink a lot of that beer.
That's why everything is. You drink a lot of Pabst Blue beer. Yeah, the toque and all. There you go.
This is one of the things you get. One of these every time you drink. Like every time you buy a case from the local beer store, you get a toque. This is just swag that they give out. I've got like 15 of these things. So I've bought at least 15 cases of PBRs to get this hat.
The only reason you don't have 16 is because they ran out of toques.
Because it's because the thing only is for a week. I got 15 cases of beer in a week. Right now, it's having a party certainly helped the beer intake. Don't get me wrong, but Mrs. Frostmage and I, we drank a fair amount of those beers. Don't get me wrong. And the other one, I've got same thing. This is a couple weeks after that. I got this beer or this coffee koozie. Of course, it's a coffee koozie, right? Because you would never pour beer or anything else in here. It's very cute. It's quaint. It keeps it quite cold. The top looks like the top of a beer can.
Mm-hmm.
I can't open that bad boy up. Oh, is that right? Press. Yeah, maybe it's because it's brand new. I haven't done it yet. But it flips off like a regular beer can. But this thing here gets in your nose. So when you go to drink it, it whacks you in the nose all the time. It's not a very good setup, but I guess if you put like a Ryan Coke or something like that in there and put the straw in there, probably like that blue one you're using all the time, that would work. Mm-hmm. And this opening is not large enough to put the can of beer in, which is probably by design, because I'd much rather put the can of beer in there and then drink it that way.
Yeah.
But what do I know?
So,
Anyway, I got like 12 of these things as well. This was a couple weeks
Yep.
after that, the Tuke one. Every case of beer you buy, you get one of these, and so I got like 12 of these things.
Yep.
So I have all the swag to show that we want to get PBR as a sponsor.
Yep. We've used them in your pre and post show
Exactly.
stream part. We're playing with some other ideas there, and well, you got an emoji that is PBR null. So I know
Do I have that?
we're kind of taking the initiative out here
Absolutely.
to
And everyone loves this emoji, by the way.
encourage them to. Yeah, I
I've
know
seen
you've
this
had a lot of-
emoji on other streamers, which means because we came up with this, Who Cares did this,
Yep.
and we put it on someone else's stream. Someone else stole it from us, and it's now starting to spread through the Twitch world. This was us that did this.
Yeah.
If you see it, it was us.
It was us that set that up, and also, so yeah, we're kind of taking a little bit of initiative here, and we've thrown them into our ad space there, and hoping that that will encourage them to sponsor us. So
Yeah,
we'll
that's
play with
the
it
whole-
for a little
yeah.
bit.
It's
Yeah.
or they're
Yeah.
going to call us up and say, "What the hell are you doing? You're using our articles and you didn't ask us for permission. Take it down."
Yeah,
We may get a cease
that
and
could
desist.
happen as well too. And and
It's
it's
a
like,
thin
okay,
line.
well, we'll take it down, but
Yeah.
I can't see. I don't know why that would happen. That
No.
we haven't taken their ad and twisted it into our favor.
Saying, "Don't drink this beer; they're bad." No,
we're not doing something
promoting
like
their
that.
beer
Exactly.
without
Yeah,
sponsorship.
we're
right
actually
now.
promoting it, and
So, no, I'm with you on that.
encouraging. So
and
see
the
what
last-
happens with it.
Yeah, right. The last one, Yuck Yucks. You want to finish us off with that?
Yeah, back to Yuck Yucks. So I do work with the local club here, the Calgary Club at the Elbow River Casino. So I got the sponsorship there for the stream. And what I'm able to do for you, if you want to come see a show, it will be the Calgary Club only. I can hook you up with some tickets. Leave a comment either in the Twitch stream. Noob will be uploading this to YouTube. Leave a comment there in YouTube if that's where you find it. And let us know that you would like to see a show, whether you're a Calgarian or whether you happen to be coming to Calgary. And, we'll make that happen. It's a great time out, an hour and a half of comedy. We'll set you up with tickets, but once you're there, any food and drinks that you have, you're on your own for.
Yeah, that just makes sense, right? We'll get you
yeah,
tickets.
you
in
know,
there. You got to buy your
yeah.
own booze, though. Come on now.
Yeah, yep, of course. So, and I'll reiterate, it is only the Calgary Club. I can't do anything with
Right. He
any
hasn't got
of the other fun clubs.
he hasn't got the
across
pull
Canada.
yet to get for that Edmonton
Nope.
Edmonton club, but we're working on that as well. Don't you worry.
Yeah, so there we go.
We just want to finish up by De Bear Fan. Thank you for this. You just recruited. So De Bear Fan does comedy and not comedy. He does charitable streams when he streams. So he's got a good cause Crusaders team that he streams and supports and raises money for. Like St. Jude's is one of the main ones I see on there. He had a different group, but it's these feel good charity raising funds for, and they're almost always due to children, like benefiting children. I highly recommend go check out the Bear Fan. He's been a great friend of the stream as well for several months since I started streaming. He's always given positive advice, and his direction for streamers that I follow have been pretty good. Right, there's Darth Verbaka. He does a cooking stream, and Chef Steve is a cooking stream. Creme Fresh Delish is also another one. There's a combination there. I mean, it's good stuff. Go check him out. I highly recommend it. Recruited a member of Good Cause Crusaders team. She's from Canada. Yay, Canada! Let's go Flames, go! She can't. Bear Fan can't recall where from, but she is fun. Lulu Kitchen Party. I will go check out Lulu Kitchen Party at the end of the stream just to see and have a chat with her. But we have, we're Canadian. We have lots of people here. We got 45 plus or 46 million people spread across 200-kilometer stretch of land across the border. So anyway, I think that's it. We're going to be back here on Thursday, I think, same time, 12 o'clock until 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, doing the same thing, talking about random stories. We hit the refresh button and talk about whatever it talks about. I thought this Anne Frank thing would be a little bit more sensitive, or maybe we just took a little bit more sensitive approach than normal because of time constraints. But yeah, it wasn't nearly as hyped up as I thought it was originally going to be, and that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, being I'm not as aware of what
Yeah.
her background is and the whole thing, to me, is just another book that got banned.
Yeah.
And-
I don't know. Obviously, I'm a little bit more aware of who she is and why and whatnot.
Right. And without knowing the actual book, the illustrated Anne Frank book, maybe it's more graphic and more detailed, and
Yeah.
so
I just
maybe there's some validity behind it, but without that kind of knowledge, that
context, we don't know what it is.
it's hard. Yeah, it's really hard to content.
We're just
comment
reading
on.
and giving just a high level overview of it. But anyway, we look forward to seeing you guys. Welcome. We'll see you on Wednesday. What do I have this week? I will be streaming here again, probably in 20 minutes, half hour or so. It is reset day on WoW. I don't typically stream WoW on Tuesdays, but I maybe later on, especially after the Flames lost last night. I don't want to think too much about poker, but I don't usually stream on Tuesdays now. So Wednesdays is usually my first streaming day, so I'll probably wait for that. But you guys have a great afternoon, have a great night. We look forward to seeing you on this podcast. We're not really sure this podcast, whatever we want to call this thing, this episode. We'll see you on this next Thursday.
On Thursday, yep.
Thursday. Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Good night.